What up, folks? It's the King. This is the conclusion of Idle Guy. Stay locked in.
Come to the place where the real ones learn. Lessons from the life and the tables turn. Weygn University. Yeah. We rise, we build, we earn.
So what up, y'all? Just came from getting my hair cut, getting fresh and clean, getting the crown installed again. You already know. The crown is always on me, but I like to get my crown part. But yeah, I finally came to the realization through Idle Guy and through like these things I've been going through these last couple of weeks. Starting off with feeling invisible with my content, like, and I had to realize, just recapping what I went through in this little series, realizing that I never was invisible. Like my one hater was the biggest sign of that. Like, even at what you think are your lowest points, there are people out there who are looking at you very admirably. And when I say admirably, it don't matter if it's a hater or a person who doesn't like you or somebody who thinks the world of you, right? Because just that reaction from that person gives you validation that you're not invisible, even if they try to make it seem so like you don't matter, because that's what a hater is, right? And I'm using the hater because my one hater is so vocal. I love her so much. Like, she really gave me the confidence to get it. And who would have thought? Who would have thought the confidence would have came from a person who totally doesn't like me, a person who totally just wants the worst for me? I mean, after all the realization she's brought to me, I want nothing but the best for her, but not to focus on her too much. I'm just trying to recap of how all this started, right? So it started with that, and then playing that game and realizing, like, you figuring out the systems and doing the work and all of those things, and then realizing once you get to a certain point, even if you felt invisible, even outside of the realization that you aren't invisible, you still can't quit, regardless to whether feeling invisible means, I'm not going to do this, because there's so many people who do this content, right? And they look at everything around them, because when I look at my timeline or my algorithm on YouTube, I see people who make videos who, in my mind, I'm like, damn, well, their content not better than mine, which anybody would think, right, about their own content. And it's like, they getting all these views. How they get all these views, or how they getting all this attention? Like, what are they doing wrong that I'm not? And it gives you, it's funny because I had this artist, I used to manage artists. So I had this artist years ago, and he would say that all the time. He would say, yo, do people just not see me? Because it's like I'm making all this music, and it's like I'm putting it out and nobody's responding to it. He eventually quit. He stopped posting on YouTube and really stopped releasing music because he felt like nobody was paying attention. And where I feel like the content is because it's so easy to do. It's so easy to get on here and make a video. For me anyway, because I know for some people, it's the last thing they want to do, because everybody searches for perfection. I learned a long time ago that perfection is the least of the things I need to be worrying about. Like, just do it. Just put yourself out there, put yourself out there to the possibilities, because I said, like, even if you fail at it, failure still begets exposure. It still begets teaching, lessons. You learn things through failing. That's why I say fail often, fail hard, fail again, because at the end of the day, history doesn't remember failure. I mean, or they reframe failure, because like through the failure, like through constantly failing, I had to think about it, like when I had a business, and I got spoiled very easy. I never really had to wait a long time for things. Like when I had my business years ago, that shit popped off quick. Like people will say it take 5 years for a business to start turning a profit. I was turning a profit after year one. I mean, I just happened to understand systems. I understood how things worked and what I could and couldn't do, how I could test the line, the loopholes, all these different things, right? Like the things that I felt like I needed to do to get me where I needed to go as far as business went. So it was that part, and with that part, where am I going? I'm going home or something. It was that part. So with that part, understanding like it's coming to this aspect of me being on YouTube now, and I'm like, well, what the fuck is going on? And mind y'all, I ain't even been doing this a year. I'm sorry, y'all just had to deal with my rickety phone holder in the car, because sometimes it acts weird. I'm trying to get a good angle, but it'll probably, y'all hear my voice, so that's the most important part of this equation. Like I said, I'm not chasing perfection. I'm just delivering the message. But, you know, so I'm looking at it because I guess I'm kind of spoiled because a lot of the things that I've done throughout life come kind of quick. And with that being said, like, I'm looking at it from the standpoint that, like, now that this isn't happening quick, and not even just that, like, situations play a big part into it too. So a lot of the, you know, I want to say apprehensiveness, because I'm not apprehensive about it, but the discouraging part of what could be more of the discouraging part for me is that I happen to start doing this at a time where things around me weren't stable. So it's that part of it too, like not having anywhere to live at a time, not having, you know, resources that are just, and the crazy part was, I never was like in a bad situation. Sleeping outside wasn't the worst thing in life. I felt like that could have happened to me, right? I feel like things 10 times worse could have happened. So that wasn't the worst thing. But the lack of resources definitely puts your mind in a very different place, as opposed to, like, if I was, you know, still in my house and not dealing with them situations. Like if I had started this while I was in my house, which I didn't, maybe it would have went very differently for me. When I was in my last house, I'm gonna say. So maybe it would have went very differently for me, but I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really start posting on YouTube until after all the crazy shit went down. So it was like that part of it I had to take into consideration too. You understand? So that plays a big part into, you know, the thinking, why isn't this working? Because you kind of putting yourself on the deadline, like, I'm relying on this to work so that I can keep moving. Whereas now that's just not my frame of mind or frame of reference for anything that I do now. Like, I'm not on anybody else's clock, regardless to what's going on externally. You know what I mean? Like the couple things that happened last week with the car, the phone, and all these different things, they were external things. They were a circumstance of, I mean, they were, I hate when I lose my words, y'all. They were the outcomes of just the circumstance at that time. Had I had the money I needed to have to do what I needed to do, none of this would be a thing. So when I think about that, I have to think about it from the standpoint, like, because it's only a thing because of this one thing that isn't even really a thing at the end of the day. And it's not like you know, I'm buried in a mountain of, oh my God, I gotta pay $100,000 or this is not gonna happen. Like, literally, my issue was so small, so I understood that I could take that and reframe it in a way where it's like, well, if I didn't have these issues, would I still be doing this content? Absolutely. And since the issues aren't like life-threatening or something that's going to kill me or anything like that, what am I really talking about? Just keep moving, like, regardless. And plus, I don't really have a choice, right? Like the game showed me, I was trying to kill off my character after I did everything I could do. I won everything in the game, and you know, it brings me to the screen where it's like you're at the end of your life. What you gonna do? And I'm like, all right, I'm at the end of my life. I'm gonna let them die. I made $600 trillion. I bought all the property. I did everything that I needed to do within this game, within this system. And it's like, but now that I'm trying to exit the system, it's like, no, it don't give me the option. It tells me my life is about to end, but it's giving me more life and more life and more life. So overall, I'm looking at it from a standpoint, like, what I've learned from this is that clearing the space for things to flow in really comes from a place of you understanding that everything is temporary, everything is a situation, and everything is external to who you are. Like, you gotta think, just because something isn't moving the way that you feel like it should move at a particular time doesn't say anything about you. It says everything about the things that happen around you, right? So when you're going through shit, whether good or bad or indifferent, understand it's happening for you, because there is no good or bad, right? Things just happen. It's just life. It is what it is. You can't take this shit personal. And I was at a point in life where I just didn't take things personal, and I you know, I was comfortable there, right, for a long time. But I think going through a lot, it put me in a space where I was dealing with people where they take everything personal, so that my brain started to go to that destructive mode where it's like, damn, everything is against me, blah, 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 this is that and the third. Well, that's never the case. ever in life. There's never anything stacked against you. Life is life. Life is going to happen to anybody, whether you got $1 or 10 million. I was looking at the Jay-Z interview yesterday, and he was talking about, and people think about Jay-Z, they like Jay-Z married to Beyonce, he got $1 billion, he got everything he want, right? He worked with the NFL, and I was watching his GQ interview, which I thought was very interesting. But he alluded to the fact that for the first time in a long time, he was very hurt and angry in 2025, right? And I had to think about that from a standpoint of like, what makes Jay-Z angry? But all the shit he went through, being accused of rape, being like him with the Drake shit and Kendrick. He was talking about how Drake and Kendrick and how he was like, people look at it like there's some kind of witch hunt for Drake. He's like, I don't really give a fuck about none of that. Kendrick was the biggest artist last year, the biggest song, and it's like he did. That song was everywhere, so why wouldn't you put it on the Super Bowl? It is what it is. That's how I looked at it. But it was just interesting to hear it from a person that most people look at and think that he just don't have no problems. Problems are going to exist because it's life. It's just what you got to deal with. It's the way you frame it. If you look at something minuscule like it's life ending, then that's the results you're going to get from it. Not saying it's going to end your life, but it's going to put you in the space of feeling like you have no other options to fix it. You can't operate like that, y'all. Or at least I choose, or that's what I'm learning, to choose not to operate like that. Because I will admit, you know what I mean? And a lot of it comes from the people that you're around making mountains and the molehills. Like, you may not necessarily look at this shit like it's about nothing. It could be as easy as pie for you. But the next person might look at the fact that they owe $2 to Joe Blow like it's the end of the fucking world. And it's like, fuck Joe Blow. Pay him when you get it. Or pay him when you get it the next time. Like figure that shit out. Figure out what's important to you. I'm not saying don't pay your debts, but like, don't kill yourself over not being able to pay them at a certain time. It is what it is, right? Because regardless, life still got to go on. None of this shit is life-threatening or life-ending or none of these things unless you let them be, unless you turn them into that. Nothing is that serious, especially if you got your sound mind and good health. As long as you got that, you win in the game. That's the game of life. The money is just the bonus. The money just helps you deal with these things a lot easier and faster. But there are real things that you could be dealing with, like real health issues or real issues with family. People got sick kids. And these are things that money can't really fix. So what does that tell you about money? If money can't, I remember I just watched this show, and I remember one time on the show, there was this lady, she had all the money, and she like went to her maid for something, and the maid was like, no, I'm not doing it. And the maid said something that stuck with me to this day. Said rich people can buy everything they want, but can never get what they need. And that's some real shit. So just giving y'all some real spill about like what you think problems do to you. Like, just do it. It ain't gotta be perfect. It ain't gotta be buttoned up, and because even when you get money, it to somebody it's not gonna be perfect, right? Regardless to how perfect you think it is or ain't, somebody is gonna think it is or ain't too, right? So when you take that perspective that we all looking through different lenses, none of this shit is anything to worry about any day. And I really thought about talking today about like shit that I gotta deal with, and it's like, ain't none of this shit really serious at the end of the day that I gotta deal with. I'm chilling, like I'm super chilling, getting in shape, getting ready for the warm weather and all that stuff, because I know what's coming is going to be crazy. Or I know this spring and summer and fall are going to be just so exciting. I mean, because outside of a few things, 2026 has been a great year. And like Jay-Z say, this shit is all offense, no defense. I'm not defending nothing y'all motherfuckers saying about me or nothing y'all thinking about me. None of that shit matters. It's all offense, it's all up, it's all fun. Say I'm a grilling today. Like, I'm on that type of time. When I got my grilling today, I said, when I got my grilling today, when I have my grilling, I'm just a different energy anyway. The Trill YN, the Trill ON. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's like in summation what I gathered from this series in real time. Like, I didn't really think that when I started it that it would turn into this, right? I was just thinking about cool concepts, and I played that game, and that game in real time started turning into a real life lesson that I was learning, you know what I mean? Like, dealing with real life and the way that I see things. And at the end of the day, this is what it's all about for me anyway, right? Because this part of my life is into a very different space. And with moving into this different space, my thinking has to be different. I can't be the same person I was, you know what I mean? And then there were so many things around me that were trying to like take me back to who I was versus, and when I say who I was, it's not like I'm a whole new person. No, I'm still Jason at the end of the day. I'm still King Weygn at the end of the day. I'm still Jay Moody. I'm still all these different things, right? Like all these different things exist. All a part of my personality and character traits and all that stuff. But my way of thinking has shifted. So once you shift your way of thinking, and it's natural for the old way of thinking, it's energy. All energy just works a certain way. To be pulling you back into, even if, you know, being in a state of discomfort is what your brain is used to, it'll try to keep you there because it don't really know the difference, right? It just knows you've been alive this long in this state. So it's computing that as safety, even though it's like, no, because and not for nothing, with getting more comes more responsibility, more chances for things to go wrong, because it gave you the example of Jay-Z. Jay-Z's minding his good business, doing this shit with the NFL, and here comes somebody like, this your kid, or somebody like, you raped me. It's like, you know, but these are the things you got to deal with. You're going to have to deal with them, right? One way or another. Like, it's going to come for you one way or another when you've done these things to change your perspective on life. There's always going to be a challenge that presents itself. Like I said in I think the last video about like how math class was, from kindergarten to calculus. It's like, you know, you got to figure it out no matter how hard the problems get. You know, they may come less and less as you keep going, but they're going to keep coming regardless. Sometimes they'll be simple. Sometimes they'll be complicated. I'm sure watching this video, think about just today. I'm sure today you dealt with something that was like, and we can't, a problem is a problem no matter how big or small it may be, right? It's still a problem. So when you think about it from that standpoint, I'm sure you could think of a million things, not a million things, but I'm sure you could think of something today that you dealt with that was like, damn, that was like something I had to figure out, you know, regardless of how big or small it was. And even if you figured it out today or you didn't figure it out today, you still got to figure it out. And with figuring this shit out, you got to keep moving. So just don't forget that part of the lesson. And that's, you know, I'm talking to myself, but in turn, y'all are here. So talking to y'all too, just don't lose that part of the lessons, regardless of what the problems you have to deal with. You still you at the core. That's never going to change. So understanding that, excuse me, y'all, you'll be able to accomplish anything that you want to accomplish. This shit is all just it's systems. Learning the systems, it's a mindfuck at the end of the day, y'all. Life is a mindfuck, especially as you get older. You learn like this shit is a mindfuck. It's literally the same thing, just different levels of it. Every level you go up, you're still the same person. So the things you equip yourself with, get your tool bag. You know, get your tool bag handy. Like, you know, equip your tool bag with tools that'll, you know, push you into situations that help you succeed in everything that you do. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to finish up this series so I can get on to the next thing, make my videos about whatever, what have you, that I feel like I need to make them about. I want to make them about at this point. And yeah, with that being said, y'all, I'm out. I gotta make a stop. Well, a few stops. I got a few things to do today. And I still got a couple parts of my AI video, so make sure y'all check that out. And check out the rest of the videos on this one. And as always, I gotta do my shameless plug, waynsworld.com. It's just it. Check it out. See something you like, cop up. It is what it is. But Superman signing out. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.